be sure of it. I would appreciate it.
Ralston would continue to record these video messages for the next 4 days.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at the most harrowing and emotional goodbyes from people who survived dangerous situations.
A man, cool as could be, records what he believes are his last moments on this planet.
Number 10. Paula Lane.
She was missing for nearly a week, and this morning, 46-year-old Paula Lane is lucky to be alive.
In 2012, 46-year-old Paula Lane and her boyfriend were driving in the latter's Jeep when they became isolated in a devastating snowstorm. Lane's boyfriend left to find help and never returned.
Clifton went off searching for help, leaving Lane to fend for herself.
Lane, fearing for her own life, left a goodbye message for her sons, telling them, "I'm so sorry this has happened, and even scarier, nobody's ever going to find me." However, she also claimed with some confidence that she was leaving in the morning to find help. She proceeded to trek 7 miles in 6 feet of snow, surviving on tomatoes and sleeping in hollow trees. After 6 days in the freezing wilderness, Lane was found by her own brother, who had been using a friend's front loader to find his missing sister.
Doctors say Lane has a mild case of frostbite, but is doing surprisingly well.
Number 9. Taha Erdem. Back in February 2023, Turkey and Syria were struck by a number of catastrophic earthquakes. These affected millions of people, including Turkish teenager Taha Erdem. He and his family were sleeping when the first earthquake hit. Unfortunately, the damage was horrendous, and Erdem's apartment complex collapsed. Stuck in a mangle of concrete and steel, a surprisingly calm Erdem takes his phone out and films his final goodbyes.
I think this is the last video I will ever shoot for you.
Erdem also speaks of his regrets and says a Muslim prayer while accepting his tragic fate.
The reason I shot that video was as the roof was getting closer to me, I had thought that I was going to die.
But fate was actually on his side, as neighbors soon found Erdem and pulled him from the rubble. Miraculously, the rest of his family were also found and saved. They were left homeless, but alive and together.
But they are counting their blessings that they still have each other.
Number 8. Jennifer ONeal. In 2022, just a few months before the Turkey-Syria earthquakes, Florida was struck by Hurricane Ian. Reaching winds of 160 miles per hour, Ian became the costliest hurricane in Florida history, causing $112 billion worth of damage. Jennifer ONeal realized that the storm was worse than she thought and recorded a final goodbye to her mother and father.
So far, so good, as long as the house holds.
In the video, ONeal had already accepted her fate, stating, "I didn't know if the next morning they were going to find my body." Once the storm intensifies, ONeal says her final farewell, thanking her parents for everything they ever did.
I love you, Mom and Dad. I love you. Thank you so much for everything. I can't even.
Luckily, ONeal would be one of the survivors. Her friend Judd was able to rescue her in his personal boat.
I grabbed my dog's ashes and a couple pictures, and that was it.
Number 7. Daryl Blake Jane. On November 18, 2006, Daryl Blake Jane of Washington left for a personal visit to Trout Lake, but his Jeep became stuck in a snowstorm and he failed to arrive at a family gathering the next day. Jane lived inside his Jeep for nearly 2 weeks, surviving on the small rations of food and water that he had brought with him. He also spent his time lying inside his sleeping bag and periodically running the engine. Feeling hopeless of rescue, Jane eventually left a goodbye message to his friends and family members. But rescue did come, in the form of a private snowmobile team called the Drift Skippers. They were hired by Jane's family and found Jane on the isolated Forest Road 23. Number 6. Robert Ringo. Joshua Tree National Park is one of the most popular parks in America, but it is nevertheless extremely dangerous. Hot, barren, and enormous, it's not the place you want to injure yourself. Unfortunately, in 2024, that's what happened to Robert Ringo, who slipped on some rocks and broke his leg. Citing unbelievable pain, Ringo was unable to move and was left exposed to the boiling desert sun.
Ringo survived eating juniper berries. Fortunately, he also had extra water and made a canopy out of his hat.
While he never lost faith, Ringo grew increasingly pessimistic and began filming his predicament. At one point, he even stated, "Probably nobody will ever see this," indicating that he feared the worst.
Probably nobody will ever see this.
Luckily, that did not come to pass. Ringo's family had notified the authorities of his disappearance, and a rescue helicopter made contact after 40 long hours.
I'm doing very well. I mean, extremely well, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally.
Number 5, Marty Martinez. A crashing plane is one of our biggest collective fears, and Marty Martinez was one of the unlucky few to experience it firsthand. He was flying on Southwest Airlines Flight 1380 in 2018 when a horrific engine failure caused metal parts to break off and hit the fuselage.
And about 5 seconds later, all of the oxygen masks deployed, and immediately knew something was on, or something was wrong.
A cabin window was damaged, causing explosive depressurization and 1 death. Fearing the extensive damage, Martinez hopped on Facebook Live and documented what he believed were his final moments. Luckily, the plane was able to make a safe landing in Philadelphia, saving 148 lives, including that of Martinez. He later posted photos of the damage as a memento.
I just feel very lucky to be alive.
Number 4, Kevin Deepenrock. The Dragon is a dangerous piece of road on U.S. Route 129, comprising 318 curves in just 11 miles, about 29 curves per mile. In 2016, Kevin Deepenrock and his friend Philip Polito were riding their motorcycles on the Dragon when Deepenrock crashed into Polito, sending them both down a steep embankment. Polito was killed in the accident, but Deepenrock survived with punctured lungs and broken bones. While he tried calling for help, no one came to his rescue, and he resorted to filming goodbyes for his family.
Sorry, I was being stupid, but you know that's what I do.
Bloodied and hoarse, Deepenrock apologizes for, quote, being stupid, and tells his family that he loves them.
Love you, Courtney. Love you, Mom, Dad.
Some passers-by finally heard his calls for help and notified the authorities, who rescued Deepenrock after 27 hours.
For somebody to hear me yelling out is truly divine intervention.
Number 3, Amber Conhorst. Hiking alone can be relaxing, but it's also very dangerous. 25-year-old Amber Conhorst was walking on Arizona's Rose Cliffs Trail in 2016 when she lost her footing and fell down a 100-foot hill.
I was blacked out for all of this, so I don't know if that was my mind's way of protecting me or what.
The damage was extensive: a broken nose, a partially torn ear, a crushed pelvis, and a fractured back. Her cell had no service, so she blew a whistle to alert nearby hikers. Unfortunately, it was late and no one heard her. After many hours alone and unable to move, Conhorst began writing goodbye letters on her phone.
It's something, the end, with a heart.
Luckily, Conhorst had previously checked into a bed and breakfast, and the owners grew suspicious when she didn't arrive back. They alerted the authorities, and a search and rescue team found Conhorst after 28 hours. Number 2, Jacob Childs. We go from the desert to the sea for the story of Jacob Childs. Childs was scuba diving off Bundaberg, Australia in 2016 when he became separated from the group.
It'd be like 15, 16 meters now.
He was left bobbing in the water for 6 hours, attempting to alert the rescue helicopters that were flying overhead. With hope waning, Childs started filming himself. He's surprisingly calm throughout the ordeal, even bordering on nonchalant as he says, quote, "That's a wrap on old Jakey."
That's a wrap on old Jakey.
However, one of the helicopters finally spotted Childs and he was rescued. True to character, he was totally nonplussed about the near-death experience. He claimed that he was warm, alert, and craving a cup of tea. He even stated with confidence, quote, "I'll be in the water tomorrow, probably."
I wouldn't say I was scared. I was thirsty.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into settings and switch on your notifications. Number 1, Aron Ralston. And here we come to what could be the greatest survival story of the 21st century. It's certainly the most popular. Back in 2003, Aron Ralston was in Utah's Blue John Canyon when he dislodged a massive boulder, which in turn pinned his arm to the canyon wall.
It seemed to be solid, but as Ralston climbed over it, lowering himself off the backside of the boulder, it suddenly tumbled.
He was unable to free himself and spent 5 days alone in the narrow canyon. Believing that he would die, Ralston carved his name into the canyon wall and filmed his final goodbyes with the video camera he had brought with him.
3:05 on Sunday. This marks my 24-hour mark of being stuck.
But with one last surge of desperation, Ralston freed himself in grisly fashion, rappelled down a 65-foot cliff, and walked 6 miles before encountering some hikers and getting help.
And I knew when I saw it, I'd made it.
Are there any other memorable goodbyes that were fortunately unnecessary, which you cherish? Tell us all about them in the comments.